Hey guys, what's going on? This is Kyle at ProjectionHub, and I lead our business plan writing services here at ProjectionHub. And in my time before ProjectionHub, I was actually an SBA loan officer and business advisor for nearly 7 years. So in that role, I was reviewing business plans, reviewing projections, reviewing loan applications, putting those materials together, helping startups and small businesses get through the SBA loan application process to try to get them approved for financing. So in that capacity, I had the chance to help a couple hundred, small businesses and startups get approved for probably around $10 million or more in financing. So a lot of those were startups, regular old small businesses. And so in today's video, I'm going to be going through our new coffee shop business plan template, free business plan template, I should add. And I'm going to be giving advice, going through it step by step on providing recommendations on, what I would do if I was writing a coffee shop business plan, especially if I was doing that for, trying to get approved for an SBA loan or startup financing. The free business plan template will be available for you to use. It really is free, I promise. It's jam-packed full of videos and tips and trying to make it as helpful as possible for you to write your business plan and getting through that process. So if at any point you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. We release a lot of videos about business planning, financial projections, getting an SBA loan, owning a small business. There's just a lot that goes into that. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, and here we go. And so I have our new free coffee shop business plan template up here for you. I got this link down in the description below so you can grab a copy totally for free. And we are gonna step through this thing, and I'm going to comment on, the structure of the business plan, things you should include in different sections, some ideas for, visual aids and enhancements in different sections, and just try to give some general tips as we're kind of going through this, especially with the mindset of if you're trying to do this as a startup, if you're going to potentially need to get financing or funding, some things you might consider. We're going to just go through this. And another thing I'll point out is throughout the business plan, you're going to see other videos linked. Okay. So the goal of today's video is not the hour-long demonstration on how to do every specific thing in your business plan, but to rather talk about it as a whole, go through the whole thing, and then you'll see throughout the business plan template, there are other more specific videos you can watch about those specific sections and ideas and tips on how to do specific things. So don't fret, if this video isn't really, really long, there's still going to be resources to help you do each part of the business plan, just to point that out. Okay, so here we go, getting into this. And the first thing I like to talk about, and there again, there's a video of this linked at the bottom that I should have pointed out all the way at the very end. There's a bunch of extra videos you can see down here to point out the length. Right now, this is a long business plan because there's videos linked in here, there's tips and different things included that won't necessarily be included in yours. You'll be able to cut them out. But a lot of people get so worried and so, I guess, uptight about how long their business plan is going to be. And to try to confuse you even further, it's possible for your business plan to be too short. It's possible for your business plan to be too long. I generally like to think if you were to take all the visuals out of your business plan, all the pictures out, all the graphs, all that kind of stuff, your business plan probably shouldn't be longer than 10-ish pages, 10 to 15 pages max. Someone doesn't want to read that much text. So when you see a business plan that's 20, 25, 30 pages, that's okay, especially if there are visual aids and useful enhancements throughout the business plan. If it's just 30 pages of text, that's a lot to read, okay? If it's only 3 pages long, there's probably not enough meat in there either, okay? So just looking at the table of contents there, you can get a feel for the length of the business plan. One thing I like to point out, and this one, if I refresh this, you'd be able to see, there's an appendix. Financial projections of this, is almost a third of the whole business plan. And so we'll get into that section there as well, because that is a stumbling block for a lot of people. So the first thing is have a nice cover photo or a cover page. This is just an image. Again, at the bottom of this free business plan template, there's a video that demonstrates how to create a nice one for free using Canva. You can watch that video, make one for your own. That looks nice. And the way that this free business plan template is set up is like a fictitious example of a coffee shop. So we made up a fake coffee shop and we tried to write it from like a fake perspective from that, kind of using real concepts. All right, so let's start going through this. First up, we got the executive summary. I want you to think about the executive summary as like cover letter that goes on top of a resume for a job application. So chances are whoever's reading your business plan is going to read the executive summary. It's the introduction, kind of gives them, it sets the table for what they're about to read. Some core things you really want to include in your executive summary. One, obviously a little bit about the business. You got to kind of explain, introduce them to your coffee shop. Where's it going to be located, the name of it, some quick little description about that. Coffee shops aren't overly complex businesses, so you don't need to do a ton of description there. Really want to talk about the owners. So a theme you're going to hear me talk about is, especially for startups, you are are like the most important part about your business plan, especially lenders. They want to hear that you know what you're doing and you know what you're getting yourself into. So what experience do you have that's relevant? What skill sets do you have that are relevant to be doing this? Have you been involved in the coffee business before? Have you owned a business before? What kind of tangible skills do you have? Who's on your team? If you lack some experience, you need to supplement that with a partner or with a key employee or a manager that knows what they're doing. So our first chance to answer that question is in the executive summary. You don't have to do all of that here, but that is a nice introduction, again, to setting the table. You don't want to leave them wondering on some of those key questions. So a quick introduction that we bring some relevant experience. Okay, that's a good thing to know. Vision. I'm not a big vision mission person when it comes to business plan. I would say a nice expansion here would be vision and objectives or goals. And then I want to hear, what does success look like in year 1, 3, and 5? That might be by the end of year 1, we want to break even. End of year 3, we want to hit a certain revenue goal. And by end of year 5, we want to be scouting locations for our second or open and roastery or, something very tangible and measurable. And then lastly, one of the most important things to put in your executive summary is introduction to the financial highlights. So how much money are we talking? How much do you have? Those types of things. Because again, we're setting the table early so that people have the right context as they read the rest of the business plan. If they wait until the very bottom financial projection section to find out how much of a loan are you asking for, that's kind of a confusing question. They might jump there already. So save them the effort, do that early on. Okay, so again, there's a video, goes into more detail about what I just talked about there. All right, moving on to the company description. Not a lot of surprising things to add here, right? This is just your chance to go into greater detail about the coffee shop, where it's going to be located. Do you have a unique opportunity that's presenting itself? Did the one in town go out of business? Is there not one anywhere close by and the town is growing a lot? That's a really good thing to include. Maybe there's only one coffee shop and it's a chain and people are looking for a place to come and work and study and, that kind of thing. So you can analyze the location. This is a really great section to add some visual aid, right? We want to help them picture what your vision is here. One thing I like to talk about is you don't have to have a location identified yet. You should probably have an area identified, like a city section or a town or that kind of thing. You don't have to have a lease signed, but it's okay to look at vacant listings or potential listings that you think match what your vision is and use those as the example for your business plan. That's totally fair game. You can grab exteriors. If you have pictures from those locations, you can add them in here. Go to Pinterest and find floor plans that match kind of your vision for your coffee shop. Include that in there. There's no rules against that. When it comes down to brass tacks and you have to get drawings and estimates from contractors and that kind of stuff, the plan will change. But right now you're just in the vision casting. You're trying to demonstrate that for people and what you have in mind. And if you think you can relatively pull it off for the costs you have in mind, that's great for this section. Services, pricing, customer experience. So, your products, your menu, that's obviously important in here. I would grab some nice looking images from Pinterest or wherever that help visualize what you're going for as far as the aesthetic is, the types of things you want to provide, level of quality you want to provide. So don't just pick the nicest ones you can find because you think that makes the business plan look good. Try to match what is actually what you're going to try to do. That is a nice enhancement for this section here. So you can see you got some pictures there. And one thing I should have pointed out at the beginning of this video, but you're going to see these 5 key points throughout the business plan that I think are the 5 sections, 4 more specifically, and then the 5th one's a bonus one at the end, that will really enhance your business plan and take it to the next level. So key point number 1 is market analysis. So this tends to be a criminally underutilized section of the business plan because it's intimidating. That's why people think that market analysis and market research is outside of their reach, and I promise you it's not. And so some key things we want to do in this section. 1, talk about the demographics that you're trying to target. We want to talk about the competitors that are in our area. We want to talk about the industry as a whole and its trends. And then we want to talk about local trends if we can. If we can hit those 4 things, that's really great for this section. And the good news is an industry and a business like a coffee shop, all of that's very attainable. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So 1, target market. Your target market. Great. You're targeting these specific people. Get as specific as you can. Then use a tool like, let me pull up, I got my handy dandy market research tools here. You can use a tool like Census Reporter, put in your zip code, put in your town. You can find some really nice looking demographic data. Okay. So if you say your target is in a specific age, come grab a snipping tool screenshot of this, throw that in your business plan. You just did some research, looks great. Okay. Market trends. We're going to go and we're going to grab another handy dandy tool here, market research. And if I go to a place like Grandview Research, Okay, you can search for coffee shops or coffee. Honestly, you can just use the one that we already have in here. You can see the macro level industry is growing at a 5.4% compound average growth rate. It's going to continue growing. You can have that in here, right? Nice market trends. The most important thing I think you can do in this section is demonstrating local trends, growth trends. So here I've used Google Ads free keyword planning tool to see in my target location, how often are people searching for things like coffee near me or coffee shops. And you can see there's an 89% year-over-year growth in my target location for those terms. That's a demonstration that there's a growth in demand for the products I want to sell and the services I want to sell in this industry. That's a really great asset in a business plan. Again, I had a video in our local market research that is just about to get published, so it'll be located here, that demonstrates how to do this. This is another map that analyzes foot traffic trends using a tool called Placer.ai. You can get some great free insights using that tool as well. But those are great ways to enhance this section of the business plan. And then lastly, your competitors. You should know all of the coffee shops within a 10-mile radius of you. Talk about what they do well, what they don't do well. And you can put a nice little Google map with all the coffee shops located nearby when you talk about those in there. All right, moving on to marketing strategy. And this has key point number 2 in it. So your marketing strategy section should contain some low-hanging fruit. You're going to have a website, social media, all those things are great. Make sure you include that. That's kind of a minimum expectation. If you really want to wow the reader, and just in general, like if a lender talking about this section, you're going to do whatever you can to demonstrate customer acquisition or traction. What this means is you have some really great ideas that kind of show that there is an increased likelihood that people are actually going to show up whenever you open. Let me give you an example. You're opening your local coffee shop and you are in the process of planning this, and you're trying to vet that this is going to be a well-received idea. So you hit the pavement and you start talking to people in the community, and you get 600 people to sign up on a list that say they would love to have a new coffee shop in town, and they're going to be in the Founders Club. So they're going to get a discount code for the first year once you open up, right? So if you can include in here, like we have 600 signatures from people that live within a 3-mile radius of where the coffee shop's going to be located, saying that they're thrilled for us to be bringing this to the town, right? That sounds like a really weird thing and isn't something you would find in a general advice video, but that's the type of example that demonstrates to a lender there's people that are really interested in this. You're clearly committed and have grit to do something like that. That's kind of how you would go above and beyond and demonstrate customer acquisition is likely. Moving along here, operations and management section. So 2 things we're going to talk about here. 1, again, the minimum requirement. You got to demonstrate that you know how to operate a coffee shop. Okay, so you're going to talk about the operations, your staffing plans, management plans, the facility itself, any equipment you're going to have. Make sure you talk about that. Again, it's clear you know what you're talking about. Key point 3, but the second thing you want to do in this section is you really want to hit home. Again, you know what you're doing, you know what you're getting yourself into. I pointed that out in the executive summary. You can do that again here in this section. Talk about who you are, what you know how to do, what your background is, who's on your team. Do you have partners in the business? Do you have mentors? Do you have key employees that have relevant experience? That's where you want to talk about that. Moving along to the financial plan, which is kind of the big one here. Okay. The key point for this section is not to have financial projections. You have to have financial projections. That is a minimum expectation. The key point is they need to be realistic and within industry norms. And so just to show you what's included in this section, we've got some high level 5 years worth of high level financial data, some coffee shop specific KPIs here, some key ratios, a breakdown of our startup costs and our use of funds. We've got sales growth here. We've got a breakdown of our operating expenses, our overhead. We've got a 5-year income statement or profit and loss. We've got a 5-year cash flow statement and a balance sheet, and then break even analysis down here. So that probably feels overwhelming. That feels like a lot of information, and I get it. It is confusing. It is intimidating, but there's a video here that shows you how to create projections. In full transparency, that was made using this financial projection template. Now, you're welcome to go and grab this if you'd like. You don't have to, but again, I'm telling you, you have to have financial projections. There's a few ways you can have financial projections done. 1, use a reliable template like this. 2, hire an accountant to do the projections for you. Again, we can also do that. 3, you can try to just do them yourself from scratch. I encourage you not to do that. Okay, so if you know your numbers, if you know things like what you want to charge, roughly how many customers you want to have, different things like that, how much your rent's going to be. Once you know those key numbers, you can use a template like this, I promise you. Let me just show it to you really quick. So in this template, there are 4 blue tabs. That's where we're inputting the information. We're only inputting and changing the things in the blue boxes. And it's already pre-filled out to help you based upon a realistic coffee shop example. So see, this sheet looks really overwhelming. I promise you it's not. It's just these blue tabs. We're gonna put in our menu items here. Our hourly labor will go in there. If we're planning on doing some advertising, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Again, here is our monthly operating expenses. So things like your rent, utilities, you can see how that's broken down. If you're gonna have any salaried employees, they'll go in here, and then it's gonna do the rest for you. It's gonna generate all the charts and graphs and financial statements that your business plan needs, that a lender is going to need. You can grab those, throw them in your business plan, and you're rocking and rolling. Use a tool like that because it's going to ensure the calculations are accurate and they're gonna look professional, and you can save yourself a lot of pain and suffering. And then coming down to the rest of the business plan, you might have an appendix where you can put additional documentation in there. That's gonna be just different based upon your situation. And the last key point, number 5, that I'm gonna talk about that doesn't really need to go in your business plan, but you should just be prepared for when you're preparing your business plan. And that's talking about your skin in the game. So you wanna make it clear to a lender, especially if that's what you're planning on doing your business plan for. You're gonna be investing some of your own cash into the startup costs, right? You're not gonna get a loan for 100% of what you need for the business. They're gonna expect a 10, 20% participation from you into the business. That's called skin in the game. Things like collateral, right? If you have equity in your home, they might ask you to pledge that as collateral for the business. You will be required to be a personal guarantor on a loan. So those are things that you don't need to necessarily write those into your business plan, but you need to demonstrate that you are committed to this personally and be prepared to have those conversations with the lender. So I like to put those in. And lastly, there's some additional videos, tools I was talking about. These videos, I show you how to do it, 10 free tools, how long should your business plan be, some other tips and tricks. Watch those things to help finalize your business plan. And the last thing I want to offer to you before I let you go is we have a free business plan review kind of offering where you can send me your business plan and I will go through it and I will give you some feedback. I'll say, hey, maybe you could do this in this section, or I would talk about this more, or I'll challenge you in a specific area. And that's a totally free offering. So you can just go to our website. I've linked it down below on our business plan writing service page, get a free expert review, fill out the form, and I would love to take a look and help you out. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below or reach out to us directly at support@ProjectionHub.com. We'd be happy to answer any questions about your business plan for your coffee shop, help you get that coffee shop open and operating in your community. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks.